You are listening to Seniors Junction podcast. We are eliminating seniors isolation one conversation at a time. With me today is your co-host, Dr. Namrata Bagaria, and myself, Dr. Paul Merkley. We're the co-founders of Seniors Junction. Our special guest today is Miri Hadas Kohler, and her company is called Yihong Seniors Living. Welcome, Miri.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to join.
So could you tell us a bit about yourself and your company, your experience in the industry?
Sure. So I've been in the senior housing sector for around 15 years. Yihong Seniors Living is I wanted to say brand new, but I don't know, after a year, it's not that brand new. Yihong Seniors Living was incorporated 15 months ago. We are owned by Yihong Group, which is the Yihong Center for Geriatric Care and the Yihong Foundation. They are both charitable organizations, both doing amazing work with seniors. We were incorporated to start a retirement home portfolio under the Yihong banner. Like I said, I've been in the sector for many years, worked for Greenwood Retirement Communities. I was, I like to call it the founding mother. So yeah, I have a lot of experience in the senior housing sector, more from the top, not from the bottom. And yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. And before I ask you the next question, you also do something very interesting. You're very active on social media, and you're a part of something called Shio Activator, right? So can you tell us a little bit of what's that about and how does that interest?
So the story is that just as the COVID pandemic started, I left my previous position where I was president, like I said, of an operating senior housing company, and I had a 24/7 kind of a job, and all of a sudden I was in this no man's land, and I was looking for things to fill my heart, and I stumbled upon Shio, which is an amazing network of women supporting other women. And yeah, it was just, I heard Vicky Saunders, the founder, speaking on a webinar, and yeah, I fell in love. It's an amazing group of women, all ages, all stages of life. Some are entrepreneurs, small businesses, medium businesses, and what they do is help each other, support each other, buy from each other, fund each other, give each other advice. And yes, I'm very active. I find that it's amazing for my soul in these, topic of our conversation today, isolation. I felt very much the isolation when I switched from a very busy role to a more quiet role, and from working from home and feeling alone. And Shio totally filled this amazing gap that I felt. And yes, as to being active on social media, I can't really explain it, but I am enjoying it.
That's
and
awesome.
Somehow gathered a nice follower base that I really enjoy engaging with.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a little bit of piece on her, because that's how I came to know about Miri, is through LinkedIn. And coming back to the social isolation, thank you for sharing your personal story. I think a lot of us, I started podcasting for this very same reasons, by the way, so that I can connect with people. And that's my way of, okay, what should I do with all this time I had? So in your experience with this community, which is the seniors community, what are the current pain points with isolation?
So the way I see it, the portion of the senior population who lives in retirement home, long-term care homes, is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the senior housing, of the senior population. I think in Ontario, it's something like 5% of the senior population that actually lives in congregate living. Everyone else lives alone at home. And in most cases, it's completely alone in complete isolation. They see members of families on some kind of schedule. You know, some families are better at this and some are not. Yeah, their interactions are very few. And what I saw while in the senior housing sector is that people are afraid of retirement homes. People think it'll be like a hospital. It's where you go to die. They are reluctant to come in. But then when they move into a retirement home, they discover the great addition, the great benefits to their lives in just having opportunities to socialize. And I like to say this because it was something that I always loved to see. We ran resident satisfaction surveys every year. And when we asked people, what's the thing that you love most about living here? The word friends, friendship, in every, everybody was talking about. The team is friendly. I met friendly people. I love the new friends that I've made. I didn't think I would make new friends in my 80s. People really loved the social interaction that comes out of moving into a retirement home.
So you've partly answered my next question, but I'd like to ask it anyway because there's probably more you could add. What is your vision then for working on seniors isolation?
So on the one hand, I do encourage people to consider senior housing because it's not a hospital and it's not some place you go to die. It's a place where you can live the rest of your life in a good environment, surrounded by people when you want to be surrounded by people, and when you'd rather sit in your room, read a book, watch TV, watch Netflix, you're completely free to do that. But you have the choice of socializing when you choose. The issue is, of course, there's not enough senior housing options, and I don't have a magic solution. I'm sad that in the old days, people of multi-generations would live under the same roof, and seniors would not be alone because there's the children and the grandchildren and everyone in one community. And these days, that's not the norm. So we have, as a society, we need to be thinking about this. We need to find more innovative solutions where seniors are not left alone. And I think technology is definitely opening a whole host of opportunities for engaging seniors, even if it is while they stay alone in their homes. At least there's, when you're connected to technology, there's always opportunities to socialize, even if it's just virtually. So yeah, I'm afraid to say I don't have a magic solution, but I love what you guys are doing. I love what Seniors Junction is doing. It's a great way to interact with people.
Thank you. I think with the vision, what I heard mainly was connectedness, and that sort of comes up with any kind of topic when you pick up, not even just seniors anymore, it's with everybody, right? Like because of the pandemic. So for example, the 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 amount of space and geography distribution we have in Canada and the weather for at least half the year makes it a very high risk for isolation society, versus versus other cultures, other geographies. They may, because of the way it is, not be as prone. But what's interesting to find is people are more independent here. So you can probably engage them in activities which they find meaningful by themselves, because some people prefer being by themselves. And then the connection piece is almost like a dose, like, okay, you need to have a little bit of this to keep your cognition, this intact, right? For those kind of people, like, who enjoy solitude by and large more. uh, Probably when they were working, they had hello, hi at work, or basic, when they had a spouse, the bare minimum interactions or whatever they had, and now they don't. And that's a very different kind of isolation piece that we are dealing with, versus somebody who's outgoing, extroverted, who does everything, and now they don't know what to do with themselves because they're at home. They had a very vibrant traveling life. They went to all the events they were invited to. So it's a very interesting time to be in this kind of work, because you're dealing with one who is actually isolated, one who's temporarily isolated, but then who none of us know how the post-COVID world will actually look like at this stage, like even with the vaccine passports. There's a lot of unknown, right? So as a company, we can only move step by step, focusing on, okay, this is what we have. And that's so, giving this little bit of extra background, I think, what is, from your perspective now, with the vision of connectedness, the challenges and the opportunities?
So, like I said, I really think technology gives us a great opportunity to connect people. And people like to, it's complete ageism, but people like to say, well, seniors, technology. My parents are both 85. They have smartphones. I chat with them on WhatsApp on a regular basis. So don't say seniors can't deal with technology. When we build our new retirement homes, every senior comes with a tablet and a Netflix account. We discovered very quickly that we need very strong Wi-Fi signals in our homes. So yes, 100%. I think technology is a great opportunity for a whole host of ways to connect people. I've been meeting in the past year, virtually meeting all kinds of interesting business that are doing all kinds of interesting work in terms of connecting people. I met a company called Amintro that runs this kind of a Facebook, but for seniors. I'm trying, all of a sudden my brain went blank, but yeah, there are other people out there doing all kinds of technology that allows people to connect. So there's definitely an opportunity there. What worries me, of course, is that's not enough, because we also need physical contact.
Yeah.
We need hugs. I feel like I've never hugged my husband as much as I do these days, because I so miss I used to hug people all the time, and yeah, now I'm working from home, I don't see anyone. So again, another friend who runs a company called Haircuts on Wheels, she says these seniors that she goes into their homes and cuts their hair, sometimes her hairdressers are the only people touching this senior. This opportunity, when they get their hair washed and hair cut, that's their only physical contact. That's so sad. We are built for physical contact. So yes, it's brilliant that we can do things through technology, do things from a distance virtually, but we do still need to figure out the physical aspect. And of course, one of the things, again, in our senior housing sector that we like to talk about is the fact that when seniors move from home to a retirement home, they put on weight, because when they were at home, when you're living alone for 10 years, you're not cooking meals. You're drinking tea and dunking biscuits into your tea. So all of a sudden they move to a retirement home. There's great food, nutritional food, and they put on weight. So yes, it's technology can only go so far. We still need to also take care of the physical aspect. I'm not sure I answered the question.
No, you did. The opportunity. We'll come to the challenge part. I'm going to probe you, but I have something to say to everything that you said. So, so by the way, Amintro's CEO, Charlene, is one of our guests in the next few weeks. So that's coming up. So thank you for the connection. For the touch part, two parts. I'll tell my personal story first. I'm a newcomer. I live by myself. I mean, I share the house with roommates for economical reasons. So the only way I get my touch is when I schedule my pedicures and my spas. So it's not just for seniors, it's also for people in their mid 30s. I don't know. Dating in Ottawa is pathetic. Whoever's listening to it, I'm sorry. I just don't know what's with that city. Totally off topic, but yeah, it's just and also because I'm a researcher, I'm working all the time. I'm an entrepreneur, so my own personal work life. So yeah, guilty as charged. But the second part is there's also a new range. So one part of technology is this video calling, right? There's so many of them. They have robotic pets, which which vibrate, which has definitely shown improvement with people with dementia, anxiety, because a lot of them can't have real pets, for whatever reasons. But I agree. So technology is the opportunity, and I'm going to probe back again now. So if that's the opportunity, what is the challenge then?
The challenge of technology, of the challenge
of solving isolation using technology. So solving connectedness using technology. According to you, what are the main challenges? What you see?
So of course, one of the things that scares me the most is cybersecurity. So, when I spoke to Charlene from Amintro, one of my first questions was, how do you protect seniors from fraudsters? We know that a lot of online scams target seniors. So that's definitely something that scares me. People who will take advantage of seniors through technology. That's a big challenge. And then there's there's all these apps out there that kind of make you cringe. So you mentioned those robotic pets or those there's a lot of robotics solutions that I see out there. There is something that makes you cringe when you think of seniors interacting with a robot. There's something that feels not right about it. And we all know we get connected to our phone, to our car, to our fridge. I always say your home is where your laundry machine is. So yes, that kind of makes me cringe. I understand the benefits of it, but yeah, there's something weird about it. Yeah. When it switches from making personal connections with other humans to making personal connections with robots.
Yeah, I think there are two parts of the answer to that. But before I dive into my Paul, what is your verdict on robots and seniors?
Hear exactly the two sides that you said. That I would certainly prefer someone to interact with a robot rather than falling into dementia.
Yeah.
Is it truly a substitute for a human connection? That's harder. I don't know that it is. So I think you've articulated the two sides of it very well. It's promising, it's technology, but maybe if it's a bridge to other things, maybe if the person who's isolated could be drawn out of himself. Maybe it's maybe for certain people.
Like we've had one of our guests who owns a social robo company, and she's a communications expert, and she's of the opinion of using the robo as a medium, not actually the communication. It's just holding your messages, delivering. It's more like a tool. The way we have a laptop, instead of a laptop now, it's a PC, like a robo kind of a thing. And she's using it from a, I guess, from a placeholder perspective. Okay, this is a thing. It's not substitution. But then there are other sophisticated pieces, which is a complete substitution. I think there's a couple of things to say in this. I think as you look at aging and the generations which are aging, so the generations which are like the Gen Z or Gen Alpha today are more comfortable talking to a robo than talking to a human being. Because that is true. I mean, I work with interns aged 19 to people aged 94 in a day. At any point in time, I'm working across, how many generations is that? I don't know, 5, 6 generations, right? I'm a millennial. We have Gen X, we have boomers, and we have the ones before boomers who are clientele. But then the ones below me, I think Gen Z and Alpha. So we are dealing across, right? And I see the way emails come. Like if you get an email from someone at a certain generation, it's a long email with a lot of politeness and a lot of pictures, and like it's a really nice email, like, you know. And I have to make sure I read it carefully. But that my response to that email is like 2 or 3 sentences, like, great job, thank you so much. So there's already a difference. And then when I deal with my interns, and it's usually like, no emails, they WhatsApp me, or like they don't use emails at all. They're like, oh, I emailed me, can you WhatsApp me? What email? So for me, it's like they don't even know how to write an email, you know. So for me, I see the difference. Working as a researcher, in my opinion, a lot of the technology consumption is driven by the consumer. So if senior housing is preparing for the next generations to come, it's not good. The current infrastructure is not going to cut through slow internet. Like people are going to come, like you said, with their own tablets, and not just tablets, the whole thing, right? They'll have like a Alexa or a Google Home, a tablet, maybe a couple of laptops. Like it's a whole gadget ensemble. And in the future, maybe a little bit of their own little robo, not a big one, but a little one. So I think it's the present day, it's a substitution for shortage of staffing. But in the future, it's going to be possibly substitution for a person. And that's not cool. Like, and I don't endorse that. It's not what we want them for, you know. But
we need to keep the robotics part for the jobs that don't necessitate the human interaction. We have to keep the human interaction as part of this. Yes, we need to find a good balance, because I'm all in favor of technology. I think we should use technology as a tool, but it can't be a substitute for personal contact, physical contact with our seniors. Yes, I agree 100%.
Yes.
So
what advice? I'm sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
So the Yihang Seniors Living, the Yihang group in general is concentrated on providing culturally appropriate senior housing options for currently Chinese Canadians. So the Yihang long-term care homes, there are 4 of them, are the choice place for people who are of Chinese origins, because they provide care catered to, well, culturally appropriate. You know, they know the Chinese drink hot water and not coffee. The kitchen has these 4 huge woks. So for sure, that's a kind of, it's something that needs to be taken into account when you're thinking of seniors, and not painting everyone with the same brush, and being respectful of the individuality. But yeah, what I was going to say is, you know, people have in their head, well, the Chinese, people from India, even Jewish people, well, they don't send their parents to a nursing home, long-term care. The culture says take care of the senior at home, but it's not that way, you know. As seniors age and they need more, and as their children are growing up in Canada, all those, that's how it was done in the old country. Yeah, it's not the same anymore, and people of all cultures need solutions. Of, I believe a good solution is the senior housing sector. It still has work to do, and the pandemic definitely highlighted a whole bunch of issues that needs to be addressed. But yeah, I'm a believer in the senior housing sector as being a part of the solution, at least.
No, I agree with you. Like, I've visited one. My first question, I mean, I visited a few when we were doing our research, but the visits were very limited because it was middle of the pandemic, right? So you're not a, you can't really go in. But virtual visits and in-person visits. So from the in-person one, my first question was, so what's your menu like? Like, you know, because guess what? I mean, of course, I don't need it for my mother. She's really young, and we're not in air quotes sending. She's an independent adult. She decides where she wants to live. Um,
Right.
but even like for people who are like, I live in Canada, and I have, like, you know, so when you're not living with your family member, and a lot of us have that, it's not even in the same country. And you've seen that with people who are children, like parents of immigrants, right? So they have different needs. So I think you're right. And one of the things I personally feel with technology, yes, there are challenges, but that cultural appropriation and content and entertainment really comes through much easier, because it's possible the staff may or may not know that language, and
Hmm.
also all the times that particular group may not be that visible within the diaspora,
Yeah.
to have a full dedicated living solution, you know. And even if they
Hmm.
are, sometimes it's their own internal identity, like you said, right? You may want to open one in your, which is appropriate to your culture, but on the other side there is also that battle you internally say, okay, now say I'm Indian, I can talk about my culture. So Indian older living home, is that what is that, are we losing our culture in Canada? That kind of a collective thinking. I'm not saying I'm pro or con of anything, but these are the mental barriers, also to take that kind of a collective business decision, because senior housing or housing or whatever, it's a big project. It needs money, it
Hmm.
needs staffing, it needs training, you know. So definitely, I think what you're saying, I kind of agree with it, that there's a lot of challenges, especially like people like who are who are first generation new Canadians. You know, we have families too. You know, and it's challenging. We are isolated ourselves, and our family members are isolated, so it's like double whammy. So yeah, totally. So go ahead,
Hmm.
Paul.
Well, I'm interested in sort of listening to a bit of the resistance that you're hearing to the new idea, what to someone could be a new idea, and wondering what kind of advice you have for a company like ours.
Sorry, resistance to which new idea?
Well, you said, okay, so we have this concept and possibility of retirement homes. There could be a lot of resistance on the part of potential residents who say, oh no, or their families, oh no, keep grandma at home. You, in a way, part of your business challenge is persuading people that, Oh, no, it's not. It's not palliative care. We're not saying you're going to die. It should enrich your life, and it will. So you have a bit of a barrier there to your communicating with them easily. We've been feeling difficulty getting ourselves known as a company. We think we have very high quality experiences to offer. It's a little bit hard to persuade someone that, well, why don't you try it? What advice would you have for us?
So yes, for sure, the senior housing, the retirement home sector is constantly battling people who are saying, I'm not ready to move to a retirement home. I want my independence. And we always try to highlight, well, you say you're independent when you're living alone at home, but actually you're dependent on your family to come visit you. You're dependent on people to help you shovel the snow or get your grocery shopping done. So living at home and being dependent on people helping you is not being independent. Moving to a retirement home where you have your own suite and you can be as independent as you like, that's independent living. That now you're not a burden to anyone, and you choose what you do and what you don't do. You choose whether you go to the dining room or whether you participate in activities or not. So yes, it's definitely it's an emotional decision for seniors to live their home and move to a retirement residence. I have to say, maybe it's because, like you, I'm I'm looking at you, Namrata.
No problem.
I'm an immigrant too, so for me to once again sell the home, move somewhere else, I've done this before, can do it again, and maybe it's easier for me to decide. I'm ready to move to a retirement home tomorrow and have somebody else do the cooking and cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the challenges for us in the sector of confusing people, convincing people that moving into a senior housing is not losing your independence. It's exactly the opposite. In terms of advice for your business, yeah, I love your concept of connecting people through sharing, teaching and connecting through topics that people would like to learn. Learning at every age is great for the brain and great for the soul. I'm a life learner, so I love the concept of what you're doing. I think I mentioned that because so in senior housing, it's a great way for you to get into the sector because there are so many people congregated in one spot that when you talk to a retirement home, and if you get your foot in the door, you're potentially talking to 100 seniors at a time. On the other hand, like I said, there's only 5% of your market in the retirement home. And I think you said actually your market is much broader than just seniors. And I actually think it's brilliant if you can get into your platform people of all ages and all stages, and not just seniors, and have seniors interacting with people who are younger. That's definitely good for all of them. There are finding the seniors, I guess, is for you the challenge.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe home care agencies is a way to meet more people who are in the community and could use socialization.
That's good feedback. I think you're right on having intergenerational events. So what we do is we try to concentrate the marketing efforts within the senior community, peer to peer, at least because we are in the initial stages, so that's okay. And by and large, we do have people of different ages that show up because They're like, oh, you do poetries. Oh, I don't have a friend who does poetry. So a lot of that nuanced entertainment, which is more sort of an intellectual or sophisticated entertainment, and no judgment against other kinds. Like, I indulge in all kinds of entertainment. So I think that's what's interesting. As we grow, yes, we would have a decision whether to go deep or to go broad, but I
Yep.
think we haven't gone to that direction yet. I think it takes around 10 years to solve a little bit of one problem, and it's important to stay focused, because it's, I think with pandemic, what will happen is we have, by the time we finished, I think a bunch of podcasts in the first few rounds of experimentation with product lines, we will have so much insights on isolation, which is cross, like it's across. It's not like just for seniors. It's across. Probably has a bit of a generational tinge with certain activities. But I think we would have enough information to know whether we like sort of give it as an advisor or whether we actually implement it. So there's a decision to be made at some point. But I personally feel, from whatever you've been saying, that even if you look very closely at seniors and seniors technology and look at the demographic shift, the seniors who will now come are highly onboarded on technology. So where I see my role at the present, along with my colleagues, is really we become experts at helping senior housing understand and what physical infrastructure they will need with the technology. It's just like a hospital setup, right? To have IT enabled systems, you need to have the infrastructure to the capacity and the culture, you know, that wherever
Mhm.
digital is possible, and what problems is it solving. So I think those kind of thought leadership we can immediately provide through our podcast. We have a summit coming up on October 1st. We'll be announcing that, I guess, soon. So I think those kind of things, yes. uh,
Mhm.
and if people want to reach out to you, Miri, how should they reach out to you?
Well, like you said, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So Google me, Miri Hadas Caller, find me on LinkedIn, and you will find your way to Yihong Seniors Living. And yeah, I'm always happy to talk, to connect, to give advice. I'm very passionate about sharing knowledge. So by all means, reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Miri.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. Hmm.
My pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure.